At KSMO Radio, we welcome you to Friday afternoon. It's a little after 1 o'clock right here at KSMO. And we have Denver Ellis with us, who is running for 2nd District Commissioner here in Dent County. And Denver, good to see you again. Thank you for coming in and spending some time with us. Again, this is a paid political ad by Denver. We do appreciate that.
Yes, it's absolutely a paid political ad.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Anyway, we're going to do a 15-minute interview and talk about different things. Well, first off, you're looking good. I mean, you've been out and about, seeing a lot of people, knocking on a lot of doors, shaking a lot of hands, and you've been a very busy man.
Very, very, very busy. And, we started this petition, for those who isn't aware, to put the question on the ballot whether to freeze our taxes for our senior citizens for their primary residence. This initiative petition started just a touch over a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've been very busy collecting signatures, and the community has shown an outcry of support for that stand.
And this is for Senate Bill 190 that has been modified, I believe, by Senate Bill 756 or 4.
I'm not for sure the exact number, but it's all been kind of reclarified and redone a little bit.
Yeah, and it changed the ages there to 62 and also allowed for other pension plans and not just Social Security. So It did clarify a few points on the Senate Bill 190. But how many people are in your group that are out there collecting signatures?
I would say that there's a total of, I think we've had a total of about 13 or 14 different people that's done this. Plus, it's been in some local businesses here that's has thrusted the volume quite a bit as well. So it's been a pretty good deal. I mean, it's community wide at this point.
And when does that have to be submitted?
Technically, I believe it has to be in there by 4 p.m. on the 29th.
Okay.
So Monday.
All right, very good. So, wish you the very best in collecting the signatures, and it seems like you've had some success in doing so.
Oh yeah, we've had a lot of, and it's led to a lot of other great conversations about some of the needs in the community that people hasn't said, and it led to a lot of the positive stuff about the community. I've heard more positive about the community than negatives, which is that's a great thing.
It is a good thing.
Positive is always good.
When now you had a round table last time we talked. You were actually
the 11th
having
of July.
Right, you were having a round table. How did that go, and what was your perception?
We had about 50 citizens there or so. I'm not for sure exactly the count. We had a lot of the candidates that's on the ballots there. We didn't have any incumbents that showed up, unfortunately. We would have really would have liked to have seen that. The residents of Dent County ask a lot of very tough but pointable questions. It really surprised me, the questions that was asked, and the sincerity that they asked. There was no one was bamboozled. There was no shenanigans that happened. Mike Pike kept that thing in line straight down the hilt. Like I told you before, the only thing I did was provide a place, some coffee and some donuts.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Pike did the rest of that whole deal, and it was pretty incredible, actually. I was glad to see Dent County have something like that for the first time in a while now.
So, in your opinion, when the people were asking the questions, they were very concerned, or they wanted to know more about their county, correct?
Well, not just the county. They asked questions because we had some statewide candidates there. Well, the 120th candidates, all three of those was there.
Okay.
And, they asked questions that impacted not just the county itself, but how the state will impact the county on what the state could do or could be doing. Yes.
So, I mean, all the candidates obviously had a chance to respond in the round table. So, when you hear these kind of questions, does it make you feel better about, hey, I think we're moving in the right direction, or I see where things need to be changed, because there's a lot of people with some concerns?
There were some things there that was brought up that night that I'm thinking, I had never thought of that aspect. I had never thought of someone else's point of view on how that may impact another group of people. So it was a variation of both. It was, and it was, to be honest with you, it's kind of humbling, some of the stuff that was asked in there, because it was, I don't know how to, I'll say it. It was more of an old-fashioned patriotic type questions on some of that stuff, because it had to do with voting rights. It had to vote who was voting. It had to do, there was just a barrage of questions that was just, it was a lot to absorb.
But it makes you feel good that the citizens are concerned about what's going on.
They're absolutely concerned, and they just have an itch to be involved. They really want to get that re-involvement back into the county, into making sure that the direction that we have here is pointed forward in an upward direction to go. I mean, to build. I mean, that was very obvious. They put that point across very well.
So, what else have you heard in your travels around? You've been talking to a lot of different people, obviously, in your quest. What has been some of the major concerns that they've come across to you with?
One of the things I've heard, and I'm not trying to cross a boundary line here, and I'm not trying to be negative towards anything, but one of the things I've heard multiple times is why can't the city and the county work together a little closer to resolve issues jointly? I don't have an answer for that because I'm not involved in the city government or the county government at this time. And I said, and I was honest, I don't have an answer for that. But I heard that a lot. So it seems like there's a lot of city residents that feels like there's a division between the county and the city, and they're not getting any relief from either side. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, that question has come up before, and I think the city and county have done a pretty good job of communicating with each other, but they are separate government entities, and some of the things that work for the city is not going to work for the county.
Oh, absolutely, right.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not knowledgeable and versed on the inner workings of all that. I don't claim to be, but that was one of the concerns that apparently they have. Another concern that was raised up was this new 911 system, the NG 911 deal, which I've made mention to in my answer and question session in the Salem News. They're like, what about the funding for this, and why can't there be one 911 board which consolidated the communications departments? And I'm not knowledgeable enough to know that either, but I do know I did some research. In 2019, there was a new tax law that was passed that allowed prepaid cell devices to be taxed because the diminishing part of the landlines is going down. So we used to get our 911 tax from all the landlines around here.
We still do.
Right, but now the landline is diminishing and everybody's going to a handheld device. So there was a law passed in 2019. I think at the same time, like it said in the paper there, that in 2018 there was like $47,000 and whatever it was that was brought out of the 911 relief fund to go to 911, which was out of the general revenue basically. Anyhow, so in the future we might want to look at how to restructure that. I don't know the answer to that either, but it was just someone brought that up, and I'm like, I didn't know anything about that, and it's there. I mean, it's obviously there's maybe an issue later on about how to do those things.
Well, I think that has to go in front of a vote of the people to change that tax around, and so it will. And I'm not trying to.
One paying it.
Well, exactly, but it's just like your franchise fee for your if you have Ameren Gas, there's a franchise fee for Salem and Denton County, and if you're only in a county, it's only a county franchise fee. So similar to that, but you're right. Right now, that's just landlines only, and of course, we know landlines. There's still a lot of people in Denton County that have landlines because we don't have the broadband.
Right.
And most businesses still have landlines, so they're still getting some funding, but it has gone way down over the last 15 years.
Well, that's just something, like I said, you have to put pen to paper,
right?
Do some numbers, get some numbers from the state, and figure out what might be best for the county, and then let the county decide what they want to do or how they want to proceed forward. I pay my bills like you do.
Sure.
I want to have a voice in that, sure. I'm open to that.
And there has been some discussion, but it hasn't gone to taking it back to the people yet that I'm aware of. And so, and maybe they have kind of discussed it, but maybe at this time it's just not the right time to address that.
Right.
Anyway, but the NG 911 is going to have quite a lot of different things happening. People may have actually seen the NG 911 vehicle that was around that had 911 on it, where they're making sure that certain points are accurate.
Right, they're remapping, I believe.
Yeah, they are. So that has been in town. They should be wrapping that up by the end of this month. So, and Susan Cunningham was in to discuss a little bit of that with the commission and what the new requirements are going to be. So, which will be much more than there used to be for the old 911 system. A lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of information to take in and to sort through. So,
what else did people ask you, Denver?
One of the other problems that I was asked about the most was about, and I think the county commission has already talked about this. I have heard them talk about it, about how they're trying to get MoDOT to do a few things about approaches. And I've heard that conversation several times. I don't know the information enough to say yes or no about it because I'm not in the inside of there. So that was another deal, was about the approaches. Some was about the chip and seal, how some of those chip and seals aren't holding up to some, even the local traffic, not even counting the big trucks that happen around the 19 area out there. But I don't know, there's just been a barrage of stuff, Stan, to be honest with you. There's a lot. Some of it's really minor, some of it seems, each individual person scales their priority of what they think is important to them.
Oh, sure.
So you hear a lot of different.
Right. Well, if you live on a gravel road and there's dust, that's going to be
Right.
important to you. If it's chip and seal and they go too fast, that's important to you as well.
Absolutely right.
And we have heard some of those issues, and a lot of people have brought those questions to the commission, like how to establish the speed limit and stuff, and of course that would be part of the commission's job to establish that speed limit, usually with the help of the sheriff's department,
Right.
and trying to figure it out. But then, whatever speed limit that they do, if they do decide on one, then can be enforced by the sheriff's department as well as highway patrol.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they have to write an ordinance, I think, I'm not sure if it's each individual one. I'm not sure how that exactly works. But I know they have to write an ordinance to some degree.
Yeah, they have to get that, I think you have to have so many signatures on the road and make that happen.
Right.
And then the commission can decide whether they want to do that or not. And so,
Yeah, absolutely.
anyway, but it's, as we all know, Denver, and I think still the speed limit on any county road is like 55. And they've wanted to try and reduce that for years. I know Representative Copeland had put in a bill, I think, to reduce that to 45. It didn't go anywhere. We thought it was going to, but it didn't get through.
I think on my road right now it's 35 miles.
But unless it's posted,
Right.
it's posted. But you can imagine Dent County, first off, the condition of roads when you're going 55, how long are they going to last? And the second thing is how dangerous that can be.
Well, a lot of these roads it's kind of hard to pass someone going 15 miles, less 55.
Yeah.
And throwing gravel and everything else, it gets pretty intense. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
it can. But, again, that's something that if somebody has a concern with, they can take that concern to the commission. And that's
Absolutely.
part of what they do. When we got a little bit of time before the upcoming primary, not a lot of time coming
Right.
up.
I think it's 11 days.
Yeah,
something
it'll
like
be
that.
here before you know it. Since the roundtable was so successful, are you having another one, or
We have thought about putting together something just as a final, hey, if you'd like to be there, you can be there. That's not been set in stone yet. I was approached by another group of people that says, hey, we've not been able to attend your first one. We didn't get to go to the second one that was held, nor the round, because that was the third public event that we've held. So I've had people say, hey, I don't know if it'll be a round table or not, but I'm for sure we're going to try to put together another event down the road between here and there. I'm not for sure.
and the attendance to each one of those has continued to rise?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the first one we only had maybe like 20-ish there. Then it went up, and then this last one was in the 50 mark or so, which was really good for Dent County.
Absolutely, and it's good to have, and you want people to come to those so that if they have questions, that's the best time to get answers, isn't
Well,
it?
and I've made myself available not at these events here in Dent County that I've hosted. I've been in other counties at other events, and I've posted a lot of those other, like Cuba had the one sponsored by Farm Bureau not very long. There was like 40 candidates there from all over the state. There was U.S. Senator candidates. There was gubernatorial candidates. There was a lot of people there. I didn't see anyone. I seen 2 people from Dent County there. So they should get out and go to these events. If it isn't local, go someplace else and find out. Go talk to the people.
Yeah, and in your opinion, other things that happen in surrounding counties do affect Dent County as
It
well.
has a direct impact
Yeah.
on us. Most of the 5 counties around us has some sort of a direct impact.
So it'd be nice to know what's going on in those counties as well.
Well, absolutely, yeah. You certainly do.
It sounds like common sense, but I think a lot of people just think close to home is what affects them the most.
Well, it's not. Look what's happening in Washington, D.C., and that's a long way from here. And that affects us a whole lot.
Oh,
in
it sure
Missouri.
does. It sure. Well, even in our state legislature, those things
Right.
also affect us. So we always like to have people be involved, but also at the same time realize that there's a lot more out there than just what the local community is that can affect our county as well.
Right.
You
We
know,
get stuff that trickles to us that we have no idea even exists until after it's passed. And we're like, well, why are we doing this?
Oh,
This
yeah.
don't impact us, but it's going to impact
oh, it will.
us.
It sure will. Denver, anything to wrap things up? We hit our 15-minute mark. We do appreciate you coming
I
in, spending
appreciate
some
you, Stan,
time,
very much.
and talking with our listeners and informing them. And again, I'll give you about 30 seconds to kind of finish things up, if you would.
Well, the only thing I'd like to say is that I'd like to have your support, talking to the citizens out there. But if not, at least go vote. Vote for somebody that you do support. Make sure you get out, because that's your voice, and you choose how your voice is heard throughout not this community but several communities, because the people you vote for is the ones that represent you at all different levels.
Well, Denver, again, thank you for coming in. This is a paid political ad by Denver. Paid political ad to make sure that he gets his point across, but also to discuss what he has found in discussing things with people of Dent County,
Right,
and even the surrounding areas and other candidates as well.
Right.
Thank you very much for your
Appreciate
time.
you.
Really appreciate you, and we hope you stick around. We have Lancer Blair coming up next, and we're going to do another one. Why not? And we're on a roll, right?
You betcha.
Thank you, Denver. Appreciate that.
Have a blessed day. Thank you.
At KSMO Radio, your hometown radio station. As we mentioned, we have